The 2017 Give Fashionably event took place Tuesday, December 5th at the Fashion Outlet Shopping Center on Military Road in the town. Each year, the town donates money received from the fashion outlets to charitable organizations and not-for-profits that serve residents of the town of Niagara. For the last 2 years, the event has been held in December and the holiday season.
Yeah, the last few years I thought it was a better idea to move it to the holiday time. I mean, if there's ever a better time for giving, I don't know when it is. People are in a more festive mood. And, you know, the interesting thing, Bob, is this has been going on for like 20 years. We're now at the $1 million mark in giveaways. And you don't realize how many groups out there are doing such wonderful things until you get them all in one spot. And you're reading off the names and you're like, it's impressive what they do and what they give back.
And this is one way for the town to let them know how much you appreciate what they do.
Oh, absolutely. They do wonderful things, all the groups that were here tonight. And over the years, we've kind of honed in on the non-for-profits and the groups that give back to the community at free of cost, at no charge. These groups are also part of our Monday concert series. They raise money through 50/50 through some of the concession stands, and all of that money goes toward the residents and the communities in Western New York.
And this outlet shopping center has been a good neighbor for the town of Niagara.
Oh, absolutely. They do wonderful things. They're always there if we need them, and you know, we've partnered up with them, and it's been a better event in the last few years than I think was going on prior.
I'm Cindy Abbott Letro for Behind the Camera. This is an empty theater right now, but in a few minutes it will be full of Maryvale faculty and students as they rededicate this space in honor of one of their own, Bill Fichtner. Let's hear what he had to say earlier in the day with some aspiring acting students.
So I'm looking at actors, set builders, ADs, lighting, everybody's here. All right, I have nothing to say. Ask me questions. Come on, I want to hear your questions.
What's your favorite movie that you've been in?
Cool question. What's your name? Hey, buddy. Hey, you know, it's a tough one. There's been a lot of so many that I've had a great time at. I met my best friend working on one movie called Black Hawk Down. I was in Morocco for 5 months, and that was pretty memorable. I think, maybe my favorite was last summer, because I wrote and I co-wrote and produced and directed and played the co-lead in a film that I shot right here in Buffalo, and it's something I've been working on for a long time called Cold Brook. And I'm almost done with it. We wrapped July 26th, but then you start the editing process and to do sound and put music in, and it's even longer than it took to actually make the movie, to put it together afterwards. But you know, I'm very fortunate that there's an awful lot of stuff that I've worked with some great people, and I got about 20 that end up on that list. But that's just a couple right off the top of my head.
If you could trade places with any actor for a day, who would it be and why?
Absolutely no. No, I'll take my own journey. I like my journey. Listen, Bruce Willis has a private jet. I have JetBlue. I have been on his private jet. I would rather have his jet than JetBlue, even with the nonstop once a day to LA. No, I like, I've worked really hard at this journey, whatever it is for me. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Listen, I'm a character actor. Do I want leading man roles? Yeah, we all do. Do I get them? No, not all the time. I had to write my own leading role. No. I'm a Maryvale graduate. I'm fine. Isn't that? You better off with smiling. Awesome.
What were your impressions in hearing Bill Fichtner talking about his profession today?
It was very enlightening. I learned a lot about what to do in the future, whether or not you're going to acting, and just everything in general was very enlightening and very nice to hear.
Was it positive or negative for you to hear this? I mean, did it make you want to be an actor more or not?
Oh yes, it was very positive. It kind of pushed you in the right direction.
Bill Fichtner shared a lot of what he's gone through in his life, and of course, having gone to the same high school. What did you come away from this, him talking to you this morning? What kinds of things, did he change your mind or did he influence you?
He was definitely a good influence. He has a really good character to him, just the way he spoke to everybody. But it was nice just to hear about his humble upbringing, his family. None of them went to college before, and now he's here. It was really nice to listen to, and I think it did inspire me a little to maybe do other things in life.
Did one thing resound with you that you heard or that made you stop and think?
I think what really resounded with me is how late a lot of things came for him, because even though he went to college, up until he was 25, he was still waiting tables and stuff like that, and now he's here. There's a lot of time to make decisions.
Tell me a little bit about what your feelings were. He spoke for quite a long time.
Amazing. I have no words, to be honest. It's the chance of a lifetime, and I'm so happy that I got to experience it.
What was it that excited you about the talk?
Just the way that we got to ask questions, and then when he answered, he spoke true to what he had to, and it was amazing.
Is he someone that you've heard a lot about here at Maryvale? Do people, talk about him? And when you heard him talk, what did you come away with?
I came away with a lot. I mean, people do talk about him. He is a legend around here, and I just took everything in that he said.
What did you take away from the talk that you had from Bill Fichtner?
To always be confident, because a lot of people, especially my age, always have that issue, am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to be good enough? And, he was a Maryvale graduate. You would never expect someone from, a Cheektowaga school, Maryvale, to be as big as that. And he's an amazing man. He's so kind and kind-hearted, and if he can do it, anyone can do it.
When you think about the lessons that he's learned and the lessons he was trying to give to all of you today, and you think about where you're going to be in 10, 15, 20 years from now, do you have any dreams?
Maybe not as successful as him, but somewhere up there. Just try anything, everything.
What was the general feel you had? What did you take away from this?
I took away that I should just go for it. When I get out of Maryvale, just go for it, kind of, yeah.
But it took a long time for him.
I'm fully prepared to.
And so is there a takeaway for all the students here after listening to Bill Fichtner, what they're going to take away and think about to Monday and the day after that when they come into class?
I think they'll really take away the fact that Mr. Fichtner said, go, like, dream big. And I think a lot of us, that really resonated with us, and everyone will take that to heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. William Fichtner.
It is my pleasure on behalf of the Maryvale School District to dedicate the Performing Arts Center in honor of William Fichtner. Mr. Fichtner is a distinguished 1974 Maryvale graduate who has dedicated his life to the arts. Mr. Fichtner is a well-known actor, director, producer, and proud Maryvale alumnus. It is our honor to call this the William E. Fichtner Performing Arts Center.
To the staff, faculty, the board, everybody. It's not like I have a lot of things named after me. It's pretty cool. It's like really cool. Also, too, today there are many teachers that taught here and were my teachers when I went here, and coaches also, and there's a bunch of them here today, and I got a chance to hug them all before I came out, and that was really special. And you know, I'm going to mention one because of the massive influence that he had in my life. His name is Mr. Rice. He was my 7th grade math teacher. You know, it's not like 7th grade math just bowled me over, but he did. He was an awesome guy and really influential in making me understand that anything is possible. I was so close with him that one time I said to him, I said, Mr. Rice, can I call you Jerry? And he looked at me and he said, no. You call me Mr. Rice. As many people said up here today, you know, Mr. Murphy said, and Mr. Darlock, that, you know, you walk the same halls that I walk, and that is true. I remember my days here. I remember my guidance counselor, Mr. Ryan. I remember the influence that he had in telling me, yeah, you can go to college, you can do anything. And the truth about it is, you can do anything, but you got to see it first, you got to imagine it, you got to feel it, you got to believe in it, and that starts with each and every one of you. We all go to a great school. I went here, you go here, and remember, and don't ever forget, you are where you come from. I am Patricia's son. I come from Cheektowaga, New York, and I am a proud alumnus of Maryvale. Thank you.
When Bill was in Buffalo in July, I had the idea both to honor him and to recognize the energy of our arts program by renaming the center after him.
Oh, and how did he respond when you first talked to him about it?
Very enthusiastic, I think very touched, and just as much affection he feels for Maryvale, we feel for him. And so it's long overdue that we honored him in this way.
When he comes back here, does he make a point of stopping by? I mean, that connection that you talk about between Maryvale and Bill.
Yeah, I'm sure that we can arrange for some more, visits.
Was it when you decided you wanted to do this, what did you have to do? Did you have to jump through any hoops, or was it easy?
No. Once I got Mr. Fichtner's blessing, and once he was on board with it, I began planning it. I have a very great board of education, and then a very dedicated group of people, staff members, that helped me plan this. But it's been ongoing since July.
Well, it's really something, and you did you did Maryvale proud, and you did Bill Fichtner proud.
Thank you very much.
Today was Bill Fichtner Day. It was Bill Fichtner plaques and proclamations. I don't know if you can ever have too much Bill Fichtner.
In the halls of Maryvale High School, I'll take it today. My life is a little bit different at home. I'm with my wife. I'm with my son watching him play sports. It's not like I don't work on exciting things, but I'm such a homebody. I don't need a Bill Fichtner Day. I'd rather have like a Vangel Fichtner Day, that he has a great game or something beautiful happens to my wife. But I'll take this today.
But this today was really special because it really was just about you and the impact and, people loving you and, being a part of this. And a history that your family has had and that other people that have gone to Maryvale have had.
Yeah, it's, every once in a while somebody will pass by me at an airport or something and just go, I graduated from Maryvale. I'm like, yeah, all right, brother, sister, here you go. That's what it is. I loved when Mr. Murphy, who was emceeing the evening today, one of the teachers here at school, said, he described what a Maryvale kid is like. And he said, I don't remember, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, you're humble, you're concentrated, respectful. I remember that. I push that envelope every once in a while, or a lot, but I agreed with him, and I met an awful lot of students that were just like that today. I was just like the kids that sat out here today, at their age, at 16, wondering like, what does my life have ahead of me? And no wildest possible dream did I ever think that I would have gone in the direction that I did. I just didn't know then. But it was pretty special, and it really brought back a lot of people that were massively instrumental in my life, like my guidance counselor and a math teacher that I had that really took an interest in those couple of teachers and people in your life that you never forget. Right. And whether they even realize it back then, what they're doing to your life, and then giving you that little bit of a shove, like you can do it, whatever that is.
You have always put this region sort of at the forefront. And what's interesting is what you're saying is they didn't forget you. And there are places where you're just a number, but you were never just a number or just a movie star or just a person. You come back here and, you are a part. You never leave this tribe.
I said to Tim Clark yesterday, and I really meant this, when I get off the plane here and I walk out the front door, I take my first big breath, and I every time I say this, and I've never said this, I've lived in LA now for 12, 13 years, New York for 29 years. New York I feel this way a little bit about, but when I land at the airport in Buffalo and I walk outside, I'm home. And I feel it every time. There's no doubt about it. It's not like, oh yeah, I remember it. No. I walk out the door and I'm like, no, I'm in my hometown. This is my home.
You made a real impact on a whole group of young theater students today and talking to them sort of one-on-one, answering their questions. Do you have any idea, really? I mean, that was a big deal for them.
What I was impressed with was so many of their questions weren't just like, oh man, you're famous. They were like, tell me about auditioning. Tell me about how to memorize. It was acting stuff. It was stuff. And I was like, wow, that's like, those are all the things you should be asking right now if you're wondering about it or if it appeals to you. And that was a great group. I wish I could be here to see their production.
They also said that you told them to dream big.
Always. Yeah. I said to them all, if you imagine it, that's the beginning of having it. Get it in here, it'll end up in your heart, and the rest will take care of itself. But if you don't believe it and if you don't dream about it, it's not coming.
Today was a proud day for Maryvale students and faculty and graduate Bill Fichtner. I'm Cindy Abbott for Behind the Camera.
Chef's has long been one of Buffalo's favorite eateries for residents and visitors alike. It has also been known as the #1 spot for members of the Buffalo Sabres hockey team since 1970. This is a tradition that goes back to Lou Billatier Sr. and original Sabres trainer Frank Christie.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Frank was the king, you know. He did his breakfast at the town restaurant. He did his lunches and dinners at Chef's. And, Frank actually started with my dad. They were good friends, and he started bringing the guys around when in the Bison days, actually. And then when the Sabres came here, the guys would come here, and my father was kind of their mentor. It was kind of a neat thing to see. Guys were 19, 20 years old, and it isn't like it is now. You know, they have handlers. And so my father, they'd ask him for advice, or if once in a while they got in a little skirmishes around town, and he'd help them out or whatever. And that's kind of how it evolved. And, you know, the next generation told the next generation, and that's why we've kind of had the players here all through the Sabres tenure.
When I first came in from British Columbia, it was you have to go to Chef's for the pregame meal. So I'd come over here with Rick Martin or Don Luce or Craig Ramsey or Joe Perreault, and here we'd have our meal here. And then we went back to the Williamstown Apartments and had our nap and came back to play. It worked pretty good for a long time. And what can you say? This is great food. It's pasta. It's energy when we played, and it continues.
Louis Sr. was just such a nice man. He was so involved in the community and charities and fundraisers and whatever it took. He was a huge part of the community. We recognized that early. And, you know, he used to be around, and Frank Christie was one of his great buddies. And Frankie was probably the first person that told me to, hey, go over to Chef's. And we started coming here. All of us came here all the time. And I think Frankie used to beat me after practice for lunch over. And I would bring my boys if they had a day off school. And Dorothy, who was just a wonderful lady, would slap me in the shoulder when I said they couldn't have any more bread. And this was part of the community. And when I come back to this day, I walk in and I know somebody. And this is part of Buffalo history, it's part of the community, and it certainly has always been a big part of the Sabre history.
Louis used to be around the dressing room a lot with Frank Christie, and was always a helping hand, and he always would ask the guys to come over for lunch, and the boys obviously loved the food, so and it was handy for the odd, so we're always over there, and he was always gave Frank a helping hand, always gave us words of encouragement. He was like almost like a godfather for us around the dressing room. So the guys got to know him very well. They appreciated his company. They appreciated the lunches we used to have after practice. It was a place for us to kind of hang out after the practice. We were a bunch of young guys. It wasn't we go to the practice and everybody disappear. We would all hang out, and this was a great place to do it. And the boys would have a good time, especially the younger single guys. They didn't have a family to go to. This became family, and it just continued to snowball from there. Louis John was younger. He was, his father kind of started it, and Louis John has continued the tradition. So it was a great relationship. Has been for I've been here since '73, '74. So it's been just as strong as ever.
Louis and Louis Jr. just like great people, and same with Mrs. Billatier and Mary Beth. They're just, they're heart and soul people. What you see is what you get, and that's a great thing. And it's just such a warm and atmosphere here to be able to come here and eat and talk to all the people that work here that are just super people, super nice people to be around.
It was always just the place to go, and we knew Louis Sr., but Louis John was Louis John was the stick boy for the visiting team, so we would bust his chops every now and then too, and now Louis John obviously is carrying on the tradition and continues to run the show. But I mean, it goes so far. Like Mike Foligno was coaching the Sudbury Wolves for 5 years. He coached that team up in Ontario, and one of the teams they played is the Erie Otters. Whenever Mike crossed the border, he would make a phone call, and Louis would set up a table, and Mike would bring his entire team here on the bus, and they'd have. I mean, it's just one of the things that does happen here is the food's pretty good, so we can start with that. But just they treat you so well, and I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it's just a great place to come and kibitz and get a good.
So on game day, back in the 80s, Lou Sr., obviously he knew it was game day, so he was ready for you guys. I mean, he was expecting you to come in after your morning skate.
Well, I think he was, because we'd always eat up front, and it was crazy. I always thought, this is kind of weird. How come there's always a table for us? What's this going on? But we would sit up front and have a bite to eat, and it was awesome.
Well, it was a great advertisement, too, for the restaurant, because everybody knew if they came in, they'd have a chance to see the Sabres in here.
I wasn't that smart back then. I didn't know that was the hook.
You weren't hounded by autograph seekers?
No, not me. The other guys were, but no, and they treated us really well here, and they've always been part of whatever we were doing. And even as I moved on with the Alumni Association, chefs has always been a big part of it, so it's all good.
Like Ryan Miller ate every meal here for almost his whole career in Buffalo. He would be here as pregame meals, and the Bills same way. Bruce Smith was here every Friday night like clockwork during the season for his whole career. So it's kind of neat.
And it's not bad advertising for the restaurant when patrons know if they come in on game day, there's a chance they'll see some of the players here.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's good and it's bad. I mean, we enjoy it, of course, because it brings people into the restaurant. But I kind of feel bad too because the guys want their privacy, especially on game days. They want to get in, get a quick lunch after a morning skate, and then go home and catch some sleep. And sometimes they get swamped. Like during the playoff days, when we were in the '99 Stanley Cup Finals, I had to hire security to stand around the tables, literally, so they didn't bother the guys.
Louis Sr. was one of the most generous people that I ever knew, and then I think Louis surpassed it. I mean, you look at all the things he does for the city and all the events, and every fundraiser, all of a sudden, dinner for 45 at Chefs if you want to bid for that. I mean, they've been unbelievable since day one, and he's still doing it. He's doing it again tonight. I mean, there's a lot of people here, and Lou's taking care of all of us and treats us like $1 million all the time.
They're talking about Buffalo going through a resurgence, but this restaurant has made it through thick and thin for the last 40, 50 years.
Hey, Bob, I had a restaurant in Angola, and we didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, it's a very, very difficult business. I learned a lot, but I give kudos to Louis, Mary Beth, their staff. Everything they do is traditional. It's about family. It's about Buffalo, city of good neighbors. And it's, come on, the spaghetti parm is to die for.
Your sister has been a big part of this too, Mary Beth.
She has. She's behind the scenes. I feel bad because everybody puts my face with chefs so often, but Mary Beth actually does a heck of a lot more work. I'm not allowed to touch the money. I'm not allowed to, she doesn't let me buy anything unless I run it by her first. But yeah, Mary Beth does a lot too, and she's close with a lot of the guys as well. So we have a pretty good relationship that way. She does behind the scenes, and I do the upfront stuff.
How long is this going to continue?
Well, we're coming up on 100 years. As long, God willing, as long as possible. We're not going anywhere. So, I can't thank the people of Buffalo enough. I mean, we just get so much support, and the players. I mean, I just shipped sauce to Don Edwards down in Florida yesterday. So we keep that relationship going long distance with a lot of our customers, and people are good enough to come to Chefs. There's so many good restaurants in Buffalo. We're very thankful that people still think of us.